Welcome to the Morse Code Podcast, where we talk with entrepreneurially minded creatives in music, film, and writing. My name is Korby, and I'm hoping these conversations inspire you to push deeper into your own work, whether you're a full-time professional or just curious about what it's actually like to live as an indie creative. I'm really excited to share this conversation with East Nashville-based singer-songwriter Jill Andrews. Jill really is the poster artist for the Morse Code Podcast in the sense that she's grown and pivoted and evolved in a career now in its third decade. I've known Jill's work since she was singing and writing with the Everybodyfields, which was a Bonaroo level touring band. As a solo artist, she's written songs that have appeared in a bunch of TV shows like Nashville, This Is Us, Wynnona Earp, and more. In this conversation, we hit up on the underdiscussed subject of the challenge of personal growth within the confines of a touring band. It's not easy. We also talk about what it was like for Jill to leave the Everybodyfields, the height of their popularity. In addition to mothering two children, Jill is a prolific writer, so we crack that open and see how she manages to stay creative while keeping the kids fed. Finally, my favorite part, Jill plays 3 songs live in the studio, and I even get to join her. If you get something out of the Morse Code Podcast, please like and subscribe and give us 5 stars on the old platform. All right, here's my conversation with Jill Andrews. Jill Andrews, thank you so much for making a little time for us over here. I know you're really busy.
You're welcome.
In general, you're really busy, but this is like a pretty busy week for everybody. I know this is going to air a little bit later from now, but now is Americana week in Nashville, and it's been going on for, God, I want to say 20 years, but this week, this conference with artists and industry people from all around the world that descend on Nashville and take over all the venues, and you stay up late and play songs and meet new people, and it's very fun and very exhausting if you're not new to the game. And I have with me a seasoned professional who is not new to the game. Not new. So you know your way around this business one way or another. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk to you about that. And we didn't say this off camera, but I'll say it now, is that part of the idea of this podcast is to kind of take a look at people who are talented at playing and singing and writing songs, but who also have managed to kind of create a career for themselves sort of off the grid, like on their own terms, and sustained it across time. Yeah. And you are like the poster child of that to me. Thanks. I mean, you're killing it, and you've been at this for a long time. And so there's a lot of ways that I think this conversation could go, but maybe we could start with an origin story a little bit, which is that I think that you're from Normal, Illinois.
Yeah.
Is that right?
You think right.
Like born and raised, or just born?
No, well, born and raised a little. I was there until I was about 6 or 7, and then we moved to East Tennessee.
The whole family? Yeah,
my dad was in college administration, so he worked at Illinois State University, and then he got a new job at East Tennessee State University.
How old were you when you moved there?
I think I was 7.
So it wasn't probably too traumatic. You didn't have
it wasn't. I had some good friends, in my neighborhood and in Old Normal, but I learned how to ride a bike there. I peed on my bike one time.
Wow.
When I was riding it there. We lived across the street from a golf course. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get to the bathroom quick enough. It didn't have anything to do with the golf course, but...
Well, except the distance at a golf course. It's a long ways to bike.
Exactly. They don't want you biking through a golf course. No matter how bad you have to urinate.
It's okay. I have to pee. So... What I'm curious about, I'm always curious about this, but there's always, something in some young person's life along the way that sort of clues them in that maybe this is something they want to do. And is there a formative experience or, just some memory that you have where you're kind of like, oh, either from outside or inside?
There were so many along the way. I think my very first experience being in front of people and singing was when I was in kindergarten, and all the students got to choose like one letter of the alphabet to sing about, and I got to sing about the letter P. And I remember I remember being on stage, and it was like one of those old elevated wooden stages in a school gymnasium, and the like big velvet curtains. And I just remember stepping out and singing into a microphone about pee. I'm talking about pee a lot on this podcast.
Yeah. This is hard. We've already got a theme.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the feeling, the anticipation, and then the doing it, and then the exhilaration. And
yeah, I remember it being very, very exciting for me. You know.
And did your parents? Was there praise involved, or is
probably?
That not part of the memory?
I don't remember it. I'm sure there was. My parents have always been super encouraging.
And you're a fine guitar player now. And did that start at a young age, or?
No, it didn't. I started. I mean, I guess young is relative, but I started playing when I was 19, and it was just G, C, D.
That's all you need.
Really, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of all it is still, but pretty basic stuff. But I kind of developed more of like a finger picking style a little bit later on. And it was actually when I was pregnant with my son, Nico, which was 14 years ago now, because he is a teenager. Yeah. My fingernails were super strong because I was taking all those multivitamins. And they were unbreakable.
They made a difference.
Yeah. And they would grow so fast. And so I just started strumming with my fingernails as opposed to a pick. And it felt so much more natural for me. And anyways, I just kind of developed my own thing with that,
Want to talk for a second about the Everybodyfields, because that's how I think when I first came to town, you were one of your band, band, of which you were a part. I won't say it's your band, maybe it was like killing it and famous to me. And how did that, like, I'm also as a creature of bands in my own past. Yeah, I had a band history, and a band that lasted 4 or 5 years. Yeah, and I have so many fond memories of that time, and also zero desire to put myself through that again, because it's just, they're so special, and they're so fragile, and they're so exhausting. Yeah. And there's nothing like a band. Even like living here in Nashville, which I love it here, and one of the things I love about it is the most talented people, the hungriest people live here. They're really trying to do something special. Fantastic. But there aren't too many bands. And I understand why, and that's neither here nor there for now. But I love bands. But maybe you could talk for a second, for my sake, about how the Everybodyfields got started.
Yeah. Well, so it started as a trio. It was me, Sam Quinn, and David Ritchie. And I met Sam when I was 19, when I was just learning how to play guitar. We were both camp counselors in the Smoky Mountains. And I was immediately just like, who is that guy? Because he was just different than anyone I'd ever met. He had long braids like this, and he wore overalls. And I don't think he ever didn't wear overalls when I first met him. He was just really quiet and funny and super smart. And I just kind of tagged along like a little puppy for some reason. There was a magnetism there, but I found out that we went to the same university. We were both going to East Tennessee State. And so we ended up like doing a lot of carpooling back and forth from Johnson City back to the camp. So we got to know each other well, and just started singing together a bunch. Camp is like, it's just the best place to sing because everyone's singing. Everyone's playing like Light the Fire and stuff like that. So so I was always singing with him and with other people, and that's how it, I think when we first started singing, it just felt different and special, and you kind of just know when something is cool, I guess. Yeah. So that's how that happened. And then, a few years later, I was hanging out with this guy named David Ritchie, who is an amazing bluegrass musician, still is. He played a lot of dobro and guitar. He was a really good flat picker. And he had an amazing voice. And so he asked me to play a show with him one night. And I went and played this show, and Sam was there. And Sam like took me aside afterwards, and he was like, "Hey, why don't we start a band?" And I was like, "Me and you?" And he's like, no, all of us. And I was like, okay. So yeah, that's pretty much the origin story there for you.
That when you were like 19, 20?
I was, I think that was probably like 2003. So hold on.
22.
23.
Yeah.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a classic band story. It was like, it came out organically. It wasn't. And I think that there's a part of the people that I'm drawn to artistically that kind of have some version of that story. And one reason why, I'm thinking out loud here, so this may or may not go, I might not stick the landing. But why people like in the East Nashville community, for one of the better designation, they kind of have a different genetic code than say the Music Row people. And I have friends on both sides of the river, but there's something like if you move to Belmont. I'm talking about Kyle here. What should I say? You could lose your identity, and I'm not saying you have, my man.
But you have a little. I just met you, but it's gone. It's already gone.
But there's something like this town puts together projects, and there's this commercial angle, and there always kind of is, and maybe that's even in the coffee at the meeting. The first time you meet somebody, it's like, how can we make this work? Whereas if you started off the grid in your own little weird town, that happens that way. It happens at a camp where you're a counselor and you happen to start singing with somebody, and it's not like, oh my God, cool, let's go get play the open mic at the Bluebird. It's like, I don't know, we have 2 covers we do. They're kind of fun.
Yeah.
And that I think that sets you off on a journey of your own, in a way. And
it can be a confusing journey. It's like, I didn't know, there wasn't like a set trajectory, it was just like, well, we sound good together. So whatever opportunities come up, we'll just say yes to. And that's how it was. Yeah.
And you weren't exactly like destined for the top or like aiming for a thing. You were like, this is cool. We wrote our first song together.
Yeah.
Like I imagine that was a milestone.
Yeah.
But anyway, so how long did the band last? You even played like Bonaroo, didn't you, at the time?
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
So you guys had a ride, and was that like quick?
Yeah, relatively quick. I mean, I think at the moment it felt like it was a lifetime, because it was a lot of my 20s that I was on the road with that band. And I would say it was a relatively quick rise. Like when I quit the band, we were actually starting to make money, like good money. But it just wasn't right. Like I was pregnant with Nico. So that was 14 years ago, or longer, I guess, if you think about, a gestation.
Sure.
But yeah, it just it wasn't the best environment for me anymore at that stage in my life. I was just like, it wasn't a healthy place for me to be. It was, we had a lot of beautiful moments together, and we played well together and stuff like that, but kind of felt like, to me, like we weren't really growing. It's like we didn't really write together anymore, and we were just kind of like pissed off at each other a lot.
Sure.
So
I feel like that's a piece of history that every band faces. It makes it through it or not. I mean, it's just so hard to grow up.
Yeah.
And with a band, because you really are, like, when you're in a band, especially at the beginning, you're committed to each other, and you're like, you don't realize that you're committed because you're just having such a great time.
Right.
And then there starts to be like little nudges from the outside world of being like, maybe opportunities for this guy or this girl. And you maybe continue to make choices to, no, we're in a band, but those noises get louder and more frequent. I don't know. It's really hard to negotiate all of that. So did you, when you quit the Everybodyfields, were you kind of like, maybe that was music for me, and I'm off to something else?
Yes, because I was also a new mom, and I was just really kind of lost as far as I've never been a great planner. I've always just kind of like ridden the wave. And that's worked for me a lot in my life. But at times I felt a little bit like I was just kind of floating on the sea, like aimlessly, And that was one of those periods of time. I was living in Knoxville, and my job that I had with the Everybodyfields was done. And so the skill set that I had developed at that point was music. And I went to school for psychology. So I had like a little bit I worked in mental health for a little bit, before I joined the band. But, so I took the skill sets that I had and I taught guitar lessons and, I hung up show posters for, a concert promoter in town, which didn't really require a college degree. And it was really ironic because it was for AC Entertainment, which was like a huge promo company. They actually are the ones that started Bonaroo.
I was going to say, I remember Bonaroo starting in Knoxville.
Yeah, and they promoted shows at like all the big theaters in town, Tennessee Theater and Bijou Theater and all that. And those are the places that I used to play. I used to play those places with the Everybodyfields. And here I am like hanging up other bands' show posters all around town, pushing my baby stroller in the rain. And I was like, what is life?
Yeah, there's some poetry there.
Yeah.
There's some bitter, bitter poetry.
Yeah, it was crazy. And luckily I had some friends that kind of, I was sitting across the table one night and one of my friends looked at me and he was like, hey, so what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, so are you just not playing music anymore? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, I'm coming over next week and I'm bringing like a bass player and a guitar player and we're just going to sit in the kitchen and play. And I was like, cool. And that was like literally how I started my solo career. I just needed I needed somebody to just kick me in the ass a little bit. Yeah.
He's like, hey, you're actually good at this and you're not done.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anyone can understand that who has had a long journey, and with a long journey of any kind, there's ups and downs and maybe hard stops. Yeah. And like a moment, I had one of those in 2019. My little sister passed suddenly, and I was like living 2,000 miles away from where I grew up. I see my parents twice a year. I moved here, and done that for 20 years. And at some point you're just like, what the hell am I doing with my life? You get older and your value, what's important changes a little bit, and you start to want to be closer to home. And, similarly, I was just like, am I done playing music? I'm like, it's okay. It's okay if I'm done. And, like whatever, we all have our spiritual versions of things, but I prayed about it and stuff, and really like gave everything up, which is like, I will work at a coffee shop, I'll move back to Idaho, anything. And I had actually, Americana Fest figures into this, but I had a gig here that had been booked. They booked those things in spring or something. And so I had a reason that I probably needed to come back to Nashville, so to honor that opportunity. So I did. And, one thing led to another, and it's like, okay, you're not done just yet. It's best I can perceive, the message from the universe. I might have completely gotten it wrong, but, it's, in a similar way, it's just like, I don't think that any of us, put our blinders on and just charge through life and like, I'm going to be an artist. Maybe you do when you're young and stuff, but you grow up a little bit. And I think there are things from the outside, clues, friends, that are like, hey, you actually maybe should keep doing this. There's something about you. So I'm glad that happened to you. Yeah,
I am too. I mean, it made all the difference. It's like, there's so many identity crises to have along the way in your life, and I was just kind of having one at that moment. So.
And you didn't know how long it was going to last, but now I think of you as like prolific.
Thank you.
You were working your ass off, and you just put out a record, 30s. I want to say this was last year. Maybe it was 2021.
Feels like it. It was 2020.
Oh, it was 2020.
2020, yeah. So
hence the blur.
Yeah, exactly.
But you just put out a new record, Modern Age. And I've listened to it more than I've listened to a lot of records lately. and I
Nice.
really, really enjoy it.
Thank
and
you.
It's one of the things I enjoy about it. I mean, it's easy to like great production, and it's got that. But the songwriting is so good.
Thank
and yeah, and it's, you know, it's like about something.
Yeah.
And it has a unique perspective. That's not even the way I want to put it. It's just, it has a believable perspective, you know? For this batch of songs, how did you go about that? Are they solo writes? Are they co-writes all?
They're a mixture of both. I feel like most of my records are a mixture of a little bit of co-write, a little bit of solo write. But yeah, this kind of the idea behind this record started when I went back to East Tennessee. And I went back by myself because one of my friends had passed away, and I went and sang at her memorial service. And, you know, when you're always surrounded by people, it's hard to, for me, I'm always surrounded by people because I have a family, you know, and it's hard for me to like sit and kind of let memories wash over me. But I was by myself, and I had the opportunity to just like drive through my old neighborhood and drive by my high school and just like kind of just walk around, you know, and remember things. And normally I'm a pretty present and future-minded person. I don't really think too much about the past, at least not like having kind of a full body experience with it, you know. So I think just walking around my neighborhood, I just kept thinking about all these incredible moments that I had with people, you know, just like playing kick the can with my neighborhood friends. In the summers, that's kind of all we did. And we'd like we'd steal beer and like put it in our backpacks and like you know, it wasn't all innocent, but it was so fun. It was so fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where the idea of the album came. Just kind of looking back on some of those really amazing memories, and just how life is. It's complicated when you're an adult. You know, it's like things become so much more complex and so much more troublesome, you know, because you have a lot more on your shoulders. And for me, I have 2 kids to like keep alive and help thrive, you know. So, but I just, one of my favorite things as a kid, and still to this day, is hanging out with people that make me laugh until I like fall over. And I had so many friends like that. And so anyways, there's some songs about those kind of relationships, you know? Yeah.
There's a nostalgic looking back, and that your song High Fives on that record, that it's just such a sweet little turn of phrase. 'Cause it's not about like the high fives you gave your friends, it's the missed high fives.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like, that's so specific.
Well, it is so specific. And I had a friend where that's what we would do, just to be so dumb. Like, we would just walk up to each other and give each other a high five, but we would purposely miss just because it would make us laugh. So, yeah.
Well, figured into a song 20 years later that made
a
complete stranger laugh too.
Yeah, good.
Nicely done. Yeah. Maybe we could play one right now.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Blank tape in my boombox, only a matter of time. Finger on the red button, waiting for the intro of Strawberry Wine. She sang it for me. My first love left me around that time. After school I'd call Lisa, still know her number by heart. Ride my bike up to see her, Princess Peach playing Mario Kart. Don't worry, Mama, when the streetlights come on, I'll be home. I'm an 80s baby. I'm an 80s baby. I've been thinking lately how much has changed. I'd rather you call instead of texting me. I wanna hear your voice. I'm an 80s baby. I'm an 80s baby. Yeah, you better believe it. Walk the rows of Blockbuster, look for the ones that we talked about. Tell me Back to the Future isn't already rented out. I watched it so much I could quote almost every line. I'm an 80s baby. I'm an 80s baby. I've been thinking lately how much has changed. I'd rather you call instead of texting me. I wanna hear your voice. I'm an 80s baby. I'm an 80s baby. Yeah, you better believe it. I'm not saying we didn't screw up, but I'm glad that's when I grew up. I'm an 80s baby. I'm an 80s baby. I've been thinking lately how much has changed. I'd rather you call instead of texting me. I wanna hear your voice. I'm an 80s baby. I'm an 80s baby. Yeah, you better believe it. I'm an 80s baby. I'm an 80s baby. I'm an 80s baby.
We did a good job there. That was good. Okay, so when I'm just shocked that you have any time to write songs and be a mom to two kids. This is a marvel that, a dad has a version of that, but it's not, and I'm not a dad yet, for full disclosure. But it's still not, a mom is never done. And so I can imagine it for like a co-write, because those have a little bit of structure. You set it up in advance. You're like, we're going to write a song. This is mom's job. But for a solo write, how do you find that time to kind of steal away and like have a boundary? Well,
I think it is all about stealing away, but it's kind of when other people are occupied is when I don't ever go, okay, guys, I'm going to go write, so leave me alone. I don't ever do that because that doesn't work for me.
Sure.
Because they're not going to leave me alone, probably, for the main reason. And also, kind of hearing the chatter of them in the background is sometimes inspiring in a weird way. I don't know. I've definitely written several songs with them kind of just being like in the next room over. And I'm just in the dining room, like strumming my guitar and, with my voice recorder on. And then they'll come in and be like, hey, Mom, can I have some orange juice? And I'm like, yeah, give me just a minute, okay? And then I'll just like, work on this idea for another minute. I'll go get some orange juice and I'll come back and, it'll be like a little bit more clear in my mind what my next move is.
Yeah, there's probably like a helpful organic process to that, like to step away for 1 minute, because you would never do that.
Yeah, there is. And I think for me, the biggest thing is just as many, you know, if I can just sit down and have several moments of just like ideas that I record, I can always come back to them when I have time, you know, when I'm by myself, when they're at school, or like, yeah. So just kind of coming back and weeding through those and going, that wasn't good. Or I could do something with that.
Did you work with the same producer on the last couple of records?
Yeah, Lucas Morton. I worked with him on Modern Age and on 30s.
Mm-hmm. And does that collaboration, is that a process where you kind of bring the songs to him, and does he do a lot of the production without you there and you come in and sing, or are you there for all of the arrangements? And
I would say I'm there for a lot of it. I mean, however, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff like editing and stuff that he's doing that I'm not a part of. But Lucas is amazing. He's young, and that's sometimes confusing because he's just like an old soul. But yeah, he and I are really close friends, and so just working together makes a lot of sense. So for 30s, he was actually working in my basement because he had a studio in my basement for a while. And so I would just kind of roll out of bed, you know, get a cup of coffee and go down there, and he'd already be down there, and we'd just be working on stuff. So it was...
That was a great pandemic style of production.
But it was before the pandemic. It was like my album came out like right before the pandemic. So good. Who could have planned that? But so you know, and with Modern Age, we had a whole band, you know, that I hired, but a lot of them were people that he knew and kind of respected, and so yeah.
I've never really asked artists about their production experience and stuff like this, so I don't know what I'm doing, full disclosure. But I am interested in that, like the difference between overdubbing tracks, kind of constructing a record versus like playing live in a room. Yeah. And if I had my druthers, I like the band version live in a room deal because it's a lot more exchangey, but it's not always possible.
It's expensive. Yeah.
I'm still paying for my last record because that's the way I did it.
So am I for my last several, probably.
Genius. Yeah, totally. We're on our way.
Yeah.
Well, okay. This is I'm curious about this too, because you have a good team around you, or at least one person. I know Erin, your manager, and she seems to be, I don't know her at all. I've never met her. But judging by appearances and like how much out there you are and how you seem to just really have your stuff down, I'd say that she's quite a find and really on her game.
Yeah.
And how did that relationship happen?
Yeah, that relationship, I think she heard about me from a few, you know, people that I knew, and we met together and just, you know, talked a little bit and decided that it would be a good thing to work together. And we've been working together since 2015. Full disclosure, we're going to be like, we're working together until January 1st of 2024. And then I'm going to find a new manager. Just kind of, we felt collectively, we just felt like it was time for me to move on. To, I don't know, someone who can like skyrocket me. Cause that's what I've been really pushing for a while. And, how do you get there? I don't know. But, that's what I'm looking to do.
Is there anything specific that you could say? And I'm not pressing you, I'm just curious. Is it like, you know, plays on Spotify? Is it like rooms? Is it?
I think for me, and it's taken me so long for me to actually articulate this in my own brain, because as I've already told you, I'm more of a like I go with the flow sort of person, and like the big goals for me have always been kind of out there in space. You know, I don't know exactly what they are, but this would be cool, you know? So I think for me, I would really like my career to be like working all together in concert, in a really productive way. So it's like, I guess for a while I've been feeling like, you know, I'm doing really well with streams, which is awesome, but I'm not doing very well with touring, you know, because I haven't been on the road as much as I want to be this year or whatever. And so for me, it's just kind of like getting all those things going and just like ramping them up all together and just, just like getting people's actual butts and seats to come see me play, you know? Sure. And it's really hard because, I mean, gosh, there's so many amazing musicians out there doing exactly what I'm doing. And there's, you know, people have so many other things they want to be doing on a nightly basis. There's so much competition for every avenue of art.
Yes.
And I always feel really grateful when people come, you know, when they pay their money and come see me play.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, after the pandemic, it's been tricky, like getting people to come out. I think people are just a little bit more, I don't know, like more comfy at home, used to watching television. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely a piece of that. And there's also just something, I feel like the trajectory of culture is just like, as you want it, you have it whenever you want it.
Right.
And that trains people to not want to take chances.
Yeah.
And when you've got a sure thing or more of a sure thing, or you can watch the Barbie movie and know that you'll have something to talk about with a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah.
I share your desire to put butts in seats, and that comes out of just like the sheer joy of live performance. I mean,
absolutely.
Like, there's nothing really better.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, during the pandemic, it's like all I wanted was to be playing in front of people, you know, and I was playing in front of a computer screen, like so many of us were trying to just like still be there, be like, hey, I'm still doing this. And a lot of it is just to reassure your own self that you're still doing it, you know? And so coming out of the pandemic, as we are hopefully doing still, that's all I wanted, you know, is to go out and just play for tons of people. And it's still, I mean, people are coming, but they're trickling in slowly. Yeah. You know?
Well, and you did, I remember it was maybe summer of that year, you did a backyard tour. And I thought that was assertive and I wondered how it went. Like,
it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so during the pandemic, I wasn't sure what to do, like many other people. And we actually, my family and I bought an RV, which was quite the investment.
Do you still have it?
No.
Nice. Well,
we offloaded that financial burden, but yeah, we bought an RV and I booked an entire like US house show tour, and they were all outdoor house shows in people's backyards. We went all the way to Washington State, all the way to Massachusetts. We played in like Texas, and it was really, really cool. And I got to travel with my family, visit a bunch of national parks, and we were very serious about wearing masks. We just, because we had to be. I didn't want to harm anyone. I didn't want my kids to be harmed. I just was like, if we're doing this, we're doing it like very seriously. And we did, and it went really well. And yeah.
I mean, bravo for making that work. And also probably at that point too, people were, I think maybe there's less of a live music starvation than there was then. Like in the middle of that summer of that year, it's just like people are like, oh my God, I've just been home for so long, just something. Yeah.
And people felt, you know, I mean, not everyone, but a lot of people felt comfortable going to someone's backyard, you know?
Yeah.
And
it was a safe step.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people peed in the grass, you know? Here we are again talking about pee.
Third appearance. But also, do you? I think this. I hazard a guess to say this has been my experience, but the fans that I have in my career are almost exclusively from live shows.
Yeah.
And there's just no substitute for that experience because it's a unique experience. It's and it's theirs alone. It's yours as well. But there's, like obviously when you're doing the live stream thing on the other side of the screen, you're just like another TV channel in many, and it really doesn't have that same impact. And so I'm hopeful in the future for all of us artists in our touring efforts and for like this community of humans that we're part of, that people will continue to go out and take a chance, because it is so special. And
it's so special. And also for the future of live music too. I mean, there's nothing like being in the room watching something happen live.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what could happen? Like a guitar string could break. It could land in my eye and my eye could fall out. Like, you just never know. I mean,
you don't.
One time, okay, when I was in the Everybodyfields, we were playing at this really awesome venue called the Grey Eagle in Asheville. And this guy, I saw him. I was in the middle of one of our very slow, sad songs on stage. This guy locked eyes with me in the audience, and he started walking towards me. And I was like, what's this guy gonna do? And he walked all the way up to me. I'm on stage, elevated, and he climbs on stage, eyes still locked at me, walks straight towards me, and then makes a beeline this way. And there's all these stacks of chairs on the side of the stage, and he just starts climbing them. And then all of the chairs fall on him. He falls off stage, and I'm still just like singing this super sad song. Like, I feel as if I've averted my own death somehow.
Yeah.
And he was carried out of there, but like, you would never have been. You would have.
And he was carried out of there.
He was carried out of there. No big deal. But you would never see something like that.
Yeah.
Unless you go watch live music, because it's like I hear people tell me that same, like their version of that story years later because they were there.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
It's a life memory.
It's insane.
It's like the smaller and the weirder the venue that you go to, the higher the likelihood of seeing something memorable.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to the Bridgestone to see a big show, it's like, it'll be beautiful and you'll know all the songs and make a memory and have a selfie, but probably nothing really crazy will happen.
I just had the best idea. Like, what if I just start hiring, like I pay some dude like $20 to just like be a plant in the audience, and I just pay them to do something really weird, but I have to it has to be really specific so that no one's arrested, especially me.
Yeah. Totally. You'd have to mix it up too.
Yeah. I'll work on that.
No, stay tuned, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll have to do with urination.
I mean, it seems only right.
Fourth appearance.
At least for one of them. Yeah.
Fourth appearance.
Maybe we can play another song. It seems like a nice thing to do.
Such good segue.
It's a professional outfit, this one,
1, 2, 3, 4. Shines on your face every single day, but you turn yourself away to brave the night. By the time the clouds roll in, some will lose and some will win. Take it on the chin and some blame the sky. You're always in the wrong place at the wrong time. If the lining's ever silver, it's impossible to find. Your glass can be It's a parking lot ahead. The traffic should be dead this time of day. When you finally get home, no one calls your telephone. When you find yourself alone, you start to cry. You're always in the wrong place at the wrong time. If the lining's ever silver, it's impossible to find. Your glass can be half full, but your cup's the empty kind. You're always in the wrong place at the wrong time. Bad luck will always find you, no matter what you do. When you always call for it, it will come to you. You're always in the wrong place at the wrong time. Your glass can be overflowing, but your cup's the empty kind. You're always in the wrong place at the wrong time. You're always in the wrong place at the wrong time. You're always in the wrong place at the wrong time. Ooh, at the wrong time.
I love that song.
Thank you.
And what I love about it is it's got a really, it's kind of a message to a certain choice of lifestyle. It's not like to say it's preachy or anything, but it just points out like, hey, on some level, we're in charge of our own happiness.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of a cautionary, not a cautionary tale, but like this idea that, you know, if it's not going the way you want it to go, it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe.
Yeah.
Am I projecting too much on that song?
No, I mean, I think, you know, it's kind of just from an observation standpoint. I wasn't trying to be preachy. I can be a little preachy probably about stuff like that.
Who can't?
You know, you see somebody with like, they've got it all. They've got like the car, the house, the
Everything's
kids,
fine.
the
Yeah.
pet, the hypoallergenic dog, you know? And it's like, and then they're just pissed off all the time. It's like, what are you? Why?
Yeah.
You know?
There's so much to be happy about.
Yeah.
You are kind of a contradiction a little bit, because you claim to always sort of be, your tendency is to go with the flow.
Yeah.
But you are also like, you're pretty you're aiming at something here.
Yeah.
How do you square those two mindsets?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think that I think over the past few years, I've really like focused in on like very serious goals, and kind of honing in my short-term goals to reach my long-term goals. And I think I've just, over the past few years, been able to take myself more seriously as an artist and stand up for myself more. I think for the longest time, I was kind of just like, I I don't know, just like, yeah, whatever. This is what I do. I'm pretty good at it, you know? And now I'm like, no, damn it. I'm good at this. I've been doing it forever and I want people to listen, you know? And not like in an aggressive way or anything. But I mean, a little bit aggressive, but like, you know, I guess I just have been feeling like, yeah, like settling isn't enough anymore. Like I don't feel good about settling for things. I want to just keep reaching and reaching for what I've been working for so hard, you know? And it's like when you go out on the road, or when you work so hard at writing a song or whatever it is, for me, I have a lot on the line, as a lot of people do, because I have a family, you know, I have a family that I'm like, responsible for in a lot of ways. And so when I go out on the road, it has to be worth it. You know,
Sure.
I have to come home with money that I made.
Yeah.
And so there's pressure, you know, and that pressure is pressureful, but it's also like really motivating.
Sure.
So yeah.
And are you still focused on commercial venues, like trad venues, or are you playing house shows out there?
Yeah, I'm
both?
focusing on like commercial venues mostly. You know, I have an awesome booking agent who's like getting me in a lot of really great rooms and things like that. I do some private shows, like private house shows, and just, you know, call me, you know, whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Whatever. It just depends on schedule and stuff. But
Well, the private house shows are nice because you don't have to promote them exactly, and they're also nice from a performance perspective. It's intimate and But I noticed that like I'm a pretty, you know, my songs aren't super loud and they're, you know, I'm a bit crafty. I appreciate crafted songwriting.
Yeah.
And I'm also like I noticed that I really like people like. I just like every single person is kind of a weirdo. They really are. And if you give them a second to like show they're weird, and it doesn't take very long if you pay any attention at all. And I think that's drawn me to smaller, or like I fit there. I fit in these like weird places where you might play a show and afterwards hang out with the person and have 3 whiskeys too many with a grandpa, you know, just like some random event. And then wake up and have breakfast with them and go on and do it all over again. I've noticed that I've had a career like that partly because I just like that kind of the adventure of it is, I like it or not, is so attractive to me. I think it draws me to those places rather than when I play clubs. You go up to New York and play like Rockwood or something. You know, I'm like stressed about it. I'm trying to get people to come to the show. I want the club owner to be happy. I want, you know, when I have had teams around me, I'm like, they need their percentage. I'm working for them. And it's just like, it's so stressful. Yeah. And then the experience is just like me being on a stage with a mic and playing my show. And I try to be personable. But all that weird extra color isn't there. All the offstage stuff.
Yeah. Like you didn't just eat like somebody's great aunt's casserole before you you hopped on stage. Yeah, and at the club, you know, Grey Eagle aside, most of the time the guy doesn't, you know, make eye contact and climb the tower of chairs next off stage. So maybe next time. Yeah, and I just noticed that like bands, the bigger the band gets, then the safer the experience gets, and then the less of an adventure, and then it is kind of a job, and that's fine because I get it. We're all trying to make money and pay a mortgage, and but Jill, let's play one more song and maybe we can just play out. Do you want to set this one up? This last song is called Boundless Love, and it's just about my love for nature. I have always really loved being in the woods and hiking and spending time with people out in nature and like really honing in on the little tiny details that are kind of underfoot at all times. May I ask, did you write this one by yourself? Or? I wrote this one with Trent Dabbs, like several years ago, actually. And it was not, it's just been sitting on the shelf and it wasn't done. We wrote the verses and the chorus but it felt like it still needed more. And so as I was preparing for releasing this record, or preparing for recording this record, I just kind of pulled this one back up and I wrote the bridge, and I was like, I really like this song, you know? And so I played it for Lucas, the producer, and he felt like it would be an amazing, like, last song on the record. It kind of just ties everything together.
I think he's right.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song. Thank you so much for being part of this little podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Korby.
Can't wait
so
to see
fun.
What's next. Awesome.
Okay. You ready for this?
Yeah.
You ready for this shit?
I'm a child of the flowers and the trees. When I look up to the sky, I'm at peace. In the quiet, I hear everything, everything I need surrounds us, all around us is boundless love, surrounds us, all around us is boundless love. I'm a child of the rolling stream. It's wild, wild company. In the air, 1,000 spinning leaves. I hear them fall to me. Surrounds us, all around us is boundless love. Surrounds us, all around us is boundless love. And I feel it, I need it now, more than ever. And I feel it, I need it now, more than ever. Child of flowers, child of trees, you are a child of these, child of fallen spinning leaves. You are a child of these, child of wild rolling streams. You are a child of these, child of skies, child of seas. You are a child of these. Surrounds us, all around us is boundless love. Surrounds us, all around us is boundless love. Surrounds us, all around us is boundless love. Surrounds us, all around us is boundless love.
Hey, thanks for watching. Click the like and subscribe button if you wouldn't mind. You can click over here to watch another complete episode, or click here to watch a playlist of the songs of the Morse Code podcast. You know you want to. You know you want to. You know you want to.